Hello and welcome to another episode of the Fund Your Passion podcast with JBR Capital. My trusty co-host here, Darren. Darren, you're looking well, keeping fit and healthy.
Thank you.
Good, brilliant to see you.
Healthy, not so much fit, but
well, okay.
We're working on that.
We're working on the fit. And of course, the one, the only. I'm bigging you up because I know how much you love this.
And legendary.
Legendary.
Oh, stop it.
Gosh, what else? What other superlatives can we give you, Joe
Nothing.
Macari? Nothing.
Hello.
Nothing. But thank you, Joe, for hosting us today.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Right, okay, so amazing showroom here, but you only moved here, what, I want to say really recently, but it probably wasn't actually.
Yeah, it was 2014.
So, okay, but that's like
8 years ago.
Yeah, that's not that recent when you think about it.
It is when you get older.
Okay, when you're our age, yeah. But how long have you been involved in cars?
Ever since I can remember, so a long time.
Okay, how did it start?
As a little boy, I wanted to be a racing driver, but you either wanted to be a racing driver or a train driver. I wanted to be a racing driver.
Okay.
And so that's how it started.
Was there somebody racing? Was this a family thing?
Not at all. No. You saw racing cars and you thought, I want to do
This
that.
is like a speed podcast.
It is.
You know, it's like speed dating on a podcast.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's fine. But listen, I think Joe's got a short attention span.
Very.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to keep you engaged, on your toes. Okay, so it wasn't anything to do with an Italian connection, a racing connection. Your family weren't involved in any way.
No.
This was just you motivating yourself.
Yeah. Just
Okay.
want to go and drive racing cars.
All right. So what was your earliest memory of watching racing cars then?
Oh, I was probably single digits watching Le Mans 24 Hours with my father. I'm watching Grand Prix on a Sunday with all the cousins and uncles around to watch Ferrari in the 70s. That would have been. Yeah.
Okay. And then so you did race? You
Yeah.
went into racing?
Oh yeah, I went racing. How did that happen? I don't really know. I bought a car.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I need you to tell us.
Memory's fading, it is like me. So.
I bought a racing car and I thought it was going to be perfect for the series I was going to do. And then I went and entered it and then realised I'd actually entered it in the wrong race. And so there was absolutely no way we were going to be competitive in this particular race, as we'd definitely entered it in the wrong place. And so I went and that didn't go so well. And then I regrouped and I learned a little bit more about it. And then and that was that. And then started driving around 1988.
And was Joe Macari Cars in existence at that point, or which one? You know, how did things sort of stack up?
No, it was in existence, but it was on a very small scale. So it was just buying and selling in order to be able to fund racing. So whatever money was made from buying and selling, it was to pay for brakes, tyres, turbos, and everything else that would break on a racing car.
Okay, so what was that racing car?
It was a Mitsubishi Lancer Turbo.
Okay, and what were you racing it in?
Initially, I was racing in the wrong race, obviously.
Obviously, yeah.
And once we'd sorted it out, it went into the in the saloon car British Saloon Car Championship, which was then became Toyo Tyres Saloon Cars in 1990, and that was then the first proper year of racing was 1990.
So we were trying to work out how long we've known one another.
Oh, I remember. It would have been, what was the first year of the revival, Goodwood Revival?
Oh, God.
That would have been 25, 26 years
Yeah.
ago. So you were a snotty little thing that came to the track and I was giving you a driving lesson and you said, I don't need an instructor, I just need someone to sit next to me because I know what I'm doing. And then after you span at Lavant, you then said, I think we should start again, and we did, and then you were actually much better behaved and you became quite competent quite quickly.
That's funny because that is a totally different. I don't even remember any of that.
I
So
remember
basically-
it
I remember
clearly.
meeting you.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yeah,
you
no,
owe
no.
all your driving
owe
prowess and
everything
skill
to
to
Joe.
Joe, obviously.
No, not at all.
No?
She wouldn't listen to a bloody word. She knew everything. It was like having an encyclopedia next to you. But after she spun, then she actually thought, maybe I
I'll
will listen
listen.
and not actually put the power down here so early. And you did. And you actually became pretty good.
right.
And it was before the very first Goodwood Revival. And you wanted to learn the track. And I happened to be there instructing.
What were we driving?
I can't remember. I just remember going round and round and round.
Okay. Well, that's okay. So that would have been then mid-90s.
Yeah, something like that. Yes,
Okay.
it would have been mid-90s, yeah.
All right. So let's bring it back to Joe Macari Performance Cars.
Yeah, take away from ancient history.
Huh?
Go away from the ancient
Yes,
history.
exactly. Yeah, I just don't like you complaining about me. But
You did it.
I don't know. I think we're quite enjoying it, to be honest.
You know,
we're going totally off track here.
It's perfect.
you
Yes.
asked the question.
Yeah.
I can't help it that you didn't like the answer.
I'm a bit worried what he's going to say about me now, to be honest.
Oh,
Well, yes.
God.
So you two,
Oh,
go
you
on
sure
then.
you want to go there?
No, no. Okay, no. So you were buying and selling cars to fund your racing.
Yeah.
How did it end up growing into this? Because this is possibly one of the most amazing facilities. I mean, certainly
Yeah.
that I've been to. I mean,
And I have to say, Joe's done an unbelievable job to come to here. So I remember coming to see Joe, I think it was on Wandsworth High Street, was it? And the ceiling tiles were falling down. It was quite different to here. This is absolutely spectacular.
I think, don't know really. It was, I think, when things just, you sort of try to better yourself. So you start off by buying and selling one car, and then I was always a big believer, and still am, of reinvesting in the business. And if you take money out of the business, you're going to hurt it, and you can't do that. You've got to let it breathe, and you've got to look at it as a lifetime, not an annual thing. So, and go and do a job that you want to do, and then if you're doing the job you want to do, then you're actually going to be good at it, and if you're good at it, then you'll get compensated. So go and do the job because you like it, and the compensation will come.
so was that your mantra then? Sort of?
Yeah, because I look, obviously I wanted to be a racing driver. I had a little bit of a shunt in '93, and then I was told I'd never drive again, so that was that. Fortunately I did. And then I had to really put my foot down and work properly, because I realised that I couldn't go off and do what I'd planned to do. So of course, plans change inadvertently. And then, so I started to really get my head down and did a lot of European work and put the hours in, and just kept building up. And so you'd be doing one car a week, then 2 cars a week, and then you'd get a bigger car or a better car. And then all of a sudden, I ended up doing a Ferrari deal by mistake.
Like you do.
And you know, the guy said, "Do you want to take these 2 Ferraris off me in a deal?" And I said, "Yeah." I didn't realise. Well, I did realise, but I didn't know how to pay for them, because I didn't have enough money to even pay for one of them. Never mind both. But I agreed it, obviously, and then worked it out at the end. You know, fortunately, a friend of mine had just sold his house. I said, "You know, you've just been paid out for your house?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "It's great, isn't it?" I said, "Cool." I said, "I need to pay for 2 cars with that." He said, "But that's all the money I've got in the world." I said, "It'd be great. I'm going to make you a lot of money." And he gave me all his mortgage money, all his house money, what was left over. I paid for the 2 cars, sold them. I gave him a nice, handsome profit, and then went again, and then just carried on. So for me, it was never a fact that I wanted to sell Ferrari. It was just, it happened. It was never planned. Most of the things I do in my life aren't planned. They're not premeditated. It's not something I do. But you know, there was a couple of things I always wanted to do when I was a kid, which I would have thought when I was that age was never going to happen. You know, one was, you know, when I was single digits, I wanted to race a Ferrari at Le Mans, because they were racing Ferraris at Le Mans. And so that for me was one of the life's ambitions. I also thought one day I'd quite like to have a ride in a Ferrari, you know, and
I think you've done that one.
yeah, but again, when I was 10 years old, 11 years old, I would have bet against it. Because how would that have ever happened? You know, that is something that's so extraordinary that you would never think that it can happen to you. So you can dream these things, but you never actually think they're going to be a reality. And
So how have you brought it to reality? Because, you know,
As
you look around and you've got the most incredible, you know, resale of cars. You know, you're renowned for restorations of classics to the highest level. You know, servicing of cars. Many of our customers speak unbelievably highly of you. So you are kind of at the top of the top now in so many different areas. I mean, let alone just build one part of a business. You've done 3 or 4.
I think, again, this is really it. It's not a plan. There was no plan.
Yeah.
There still is no plan.
Yeah.
and there should be. And if I had a plan, I'd have done a lot better. But I didn't, and I'm quite organised in my head, but I'm messy as a person, I know that. But I know what the end result needs to be, but I don't know how to fill in the gaps on the way. So you improvise and you make things happen. I used to go to Bramley Garage as a little boy, and for me it was the best place in the world. And Graham Cook was there, and I used to ask him if I could have a sit in the car, and he used to let me sit in his Daytona Spider. And it's like, oh yeah, this is like spectacular. And I'd be sitting there, could just about see over the steering wheel. And then as I became a teenager, I used to go back and then still have another look at the car. Yeah. And then I asked him if I could buy it one day. He said, you need to go and get a job first, son. So I went, all right. And he's still a friend today. And he mentored me since I got in the business. Yeah. And I am very lucky, and I'm very privileged to have people like that who I can then, he phoned me up one day after I moved to Wandsworth. He said, I've got a car here, boy, that's perfect for you. I said, great. He said, don't suppose you've got any money there, have you? I said, no. He said, come and pick it up and pay me in 6 weeks. And, or if you sell it sooner, bring me a cheque. I said, great. And I was sort of stuttering, I didn't really want to say it. I said, what if I haven't sold it in 6 weeks? I said, that's simple, you're not doing the bloody job properly then, are you? I went, no, that's fine. And 2 weeks later, had it sold, brought him a cheque, he gave me another car. Yeah. And it was great, so I was very lucky because I had people like that who not only helped me to get going, but they also were at the end of the phone that I could talk to and trust, and showed me what, how, and learn from them.
But you got people to believe in you.
Yeah, I was lucky.
People wanted to support and believe in you. So you must have had something that showed in that kind of drive and ambition that people wanted to support.
I never looked at it that way, Darren. For me, I just thought I was lucky because the reality is he wanted to help me out. Yeah. He wanted to, and I'd known him all my life. I'd always been brought up in a way that you shake hands, this deal is done. Yeah. You have to do things in a correct way. And if you do things like that, then you can only be judged that way. Yeah. And many times people have done the opposite with me. That's life. You hold a grudge, absolutely. But then eventually it fades. The point is you have to do it by your own standards. And even the guys who work here, we have a philosophy that the deal has to be a win-win. You've got to be able to sit in the other person's chair and be comfortable. And if you can do that, then everyone's happy. If you can't, then don't do the deal because it's not sustainable. And that way we keep 90% repeat business.
I was just about to say, because a lot of your customers now are long-term customers and even friends.
I'm so lucky. I've met the best people in my life through work. Yeah. And I've made my best friends through work. And I wouldn't have it any other way. And it's fab. Because yes, we're running a business and we're entitled to make a living. However, if you don't pull people's eyes out, just be fair. Everyone goes forward. They leave with what they want. We've served them, and you know what? We're comfortable when they come back, and then we all sit together. If something goes wrong, we fix it. We're all human. We all make mistakes, but you try and minimise the mistake value by trying to have an eye for detail.
Part of what you do, as well as obviously buying and selling, is maintenance, restoring.
Yeah. So,
as well.
I mean,
how much of your business is that, and do you enjoy doing that and getting involved in any of those sort of rebuilds?
So the restoration classic side of the business is probably my weakness. It's the one that we lose the most money at because I spend far too much time on every car, and I adore it. And when you put something back together that's older than you, and you then drive it for the first time, and you start just getting it right, you just think, yeah, life's all right. Yeah. And there's something about a classic car, whether it's a 60s Fiat 500 or a Ferrari or a Lamborghini Miura, that makes you smile. Yeah. And when that makes you smile, I still, in my heart, am a collector because I still look at a beautiful car and it still takes my breath away. And while it does that, then I'm happy doing what I'm doing. And I think, again, if I wasn't such a lover of the cars, I would do better in my business. Because then I would have no emotional attachment, because occasionally I do struggle to let someone have a car that I don't really like. No, I have, and I've actually turned people down before.
Okay.
Oh, very much so, yeah. And I've sent them to some of the enemy, because, you know, the reality is they didn't deserve those cars.
Toss that one in there.
You know, and yeah, they didn't deserve them.
Okay.
So, and they weren't the right cars for them.
So what kind of cars are the ones that you've really struggled to let go?
It's not the car, it was a combination of the car and the person.
Yeah, but I can't ask you who are the people that you've sent away, so the only question I can ask is about the cars then.
I could quite happily tell you about
Well,
the
actually,
person,
maybe.
perhaps.
it
Do you want
sounds
his
like
name, address and passport number?
It sounds like a bit of a mad statement that you made there, Joe, but actually I think I would put the stamp of credibility on that, because I remember going back into the 2000s and you'd call me and you'd say, I've got this customer here, and I go, okay, fine, well, what's he buying? And you'd say to me, I haven't decided what I'm going to let him buy yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. It kind of goes along with that.
It's cars, certain cars should go with certain people, and that's it. And sometimes the people don't know, and we had a little bit of a problem early doors with a restoration with the chairman of the RAC club, actually. He had a PF Cabriolet Series 2, and he's my great friend, and I love the man to pieces, and he wanted it painted in red. And I painted it this most beautiful dark grey without telling him I forgot. And he came to see it for the first time, and he took the cover off it, and he looked at it, and he said, I said, what do you think, Peter? He goes, it's beautiful. He said, but didn't we discuss red? I said, we mentioned it. And he said, it's great. I said, don't you like it? He said, it's just beautiful. I said, so why are we having the conversation? So, yeah, okay. He said, well, I'd like black interior. But I'd already trimmed it in a beautiful, rich Bordeaux. And so I said, well, you can have red. He said, no, I'd like black. I said, I think you should have red. So I gave him some choices of some Bordeaux, because he hadn't actually seen it trimmed. And, you know, they were actually all the same leather. But he picked the one that he wanted, and he obviously kept it this time, so that way I couldn't sort of hoodwink him. And so then when he came to see the car finished, he actually took his nice piece of leather out, he put it next to the car, and he said, look how well I've done. Isn't that beautiful? I've chosen so well. And he did, he chose beautifully at one concourse at Hurlingham. And then he sold it, and he regrets it every day. But he wasn't, look, he wears yellow trousers and a red shirt on a Saturday morning. Do you think I was going to let him choose the colour of a classic Ferrari? There was no way on earth that he was capable of doing that. Yeah. He's one of the loveliest men in the world, but that was not his strength.
No. Yeah.
So that was that.
You helped. Aided.
And you know what? He was thrilled.
Well, I suppose, yeah, well, that's what you want, isn't it? As you say, a win-win for everybody.
There we go. Exactly.
But there must have been cars, though, that you've had come through or go through the workshop.
It's mainly where you get cars where you just feel really good that they've gone to the right person. That's where the buzz really comes in. And that certain car comes in and you go, that person should have that car, because that car, it belongs to that car. Do you want to answer that, or should I just let that ring?
Yeah, okay. Just let it ring.
And he, you know, he or she, whatever. When you combine the right car with the right person, that's when life's good.
So do you think, when you're doing a restoration, that the car should be restored back to its original specification and colours?
Absolutely not.
Or
I know the answer.
Or what Joe thinks the colour should be?
No, the car...
Definitely not what the customer wants.
No, it depends on the customer. If the customer's got bad taste, obviously you just disregard them. But no, it's true. But if the customer has good taste, then you work with them. And also, it's great because the client can come in whilst you're doing the job, and actually that's part of it where you're actually doing the journey together. And it's great to share that. And that's really fabulous. And, you know, joking apart, you get an absolute kick from seeing their faces. And my enjoyment, and that's why I like working for great people, because you don't mind putting heart and soul into a restoration if it's for a really good human being. Yeah. And, you know, whether they've got good colour taste or not, it's irrelevant, but if they're good people, you want to go the extra mile, and you'll put the detail into it, and you'll make it as if it's for yourself. And I want to restore cars as if they're for me, so I will go the final mile. But also, I want the car to drive in today's traffic. I don't want to be on the King's Road at, you know, midday on a Saturday watching the water temperature going up to 100.
Stressing.
You know, I'll be doing a deal with God that I'm going to go to church for the next 3 Sundays if it doesn't get hot, you know, all that sort of thing. And instead, I put a decent radiator on the car, a couple of cooling fans. You know what? It just sits there. So you don't change the soul of the car.
So you make some modifications that make it much more usable.
You do what you use today's technology without hurting the soul of the car. By doing that, you can then actually use the car in today's traffic conditions. And in 1963 or whatever, when that car was born, you had the odd, you know, milk float or pony and cart to pass.
Yeah.
You know, now it's chock-a-block traffic. You want it to work. And so that's what I do.
And what does that do to values, though?
Nothing.
Does that not affect
zero?
values?
It's negligible, because everything we'll do, for example, can be unbolted and put straight back on.
Right.
And so you've got the original parts of the car, and you have these parts just to make the car usable. Now, if people don't like that, I don't apologise for what we do, because we want people to enjoy the cars. And you can't enjoy them because the world has changed. You know, the fuel that we get now is like, it's like goat's piss. You know, it's just, you know.
Can we actually leave that in?
You can't. You know, it is. I mean, you know, you had 5-star fuel back in the 70s.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah, this was real
You
stuff.
got green shield stamps as well.
Exactly.
Do you remember those?
Totally. But the point is, now this stuff here, you know, your carburetors, you get a cough between 2,000 and 3,000 revs, and you're never going to get it gone because, you know, they keep taking all the good stuff away. It's like making Diet Coke. You know, you've taken all the sugar out. What's the point of having a can? You know. It's done.
It used to be much better.
There we go.
Yeah.
And so these are the things that are, for me, where we have to make the car around the situation we have now.
Today, rather than...
Absolutely.
Which brings me very nicely into bringing cars into how we are today. And there are several outfits, manufacturers, whatever, converting classic cars into electric vehicles and taking out all the stuff that you love and putting in electric powertrains and saying this makes these cars sustainable, usable for the future, for our children, and the whole green story. I mean, that's...
Well, what do you think?
What do you think about that?
It's just as well I'm not in a position of authority in the government, really, because they would be fined so heavily, they would all leave. I mean, why would you take an E-Type Jaguar with a beautiful straight six? Okay, it sounds beautiful, it goes beautifully. It was just one of the most elegant things that was ever born. And you put an electric motor in it. I mean, for what unknown reason would someone want to do that? I'm sorry, but it's bonkers. And the biggest issue for me is the governments of the world at the moment, without going into a political play here, is they all are saying that everything should be electric because it's better for the planet. And sadly, the whatever they call themselves, the Extinction Rebellion lot or whatever, they all believe it. Okay, so they believe all this propaganda, but actually if they did their research right and actually got educated in the correct and proper fashion, they'd find that a modern petrol-powered car is actually less on the environment than an electric car. And this is fact, this isn't fiction, but this is what the world is trying to believe. Now, it can't be sustainable because the truth always comes out. And once the truth actually comes out that the footprint of an electric car far outweighs the footprint of a petrol car, just look at the time of how long it's got. It's got a 10-year life or something, an electric car. And if you do want to set fire to it...
Well, it's the disposal, but it's the batteries and how you dispose of them.
18 hours
a massive
to burn
problem.
it down, so you can't even do a good insurance job on it. So, you know, everything is against it. You know, a petrol car, you've got them going around since the 30s. Look at all the Bentleys out there. They're 100 years old. You've got 100 years of use out of something. You know, cars are being built out of nothing now. It's a different story. So, for me, look, all they're doing is they're taking advantage of the market and of the naivety of the people who...
It's fashionable.
Exactly, but also it's the naivety of the people that are buying it because they genuinely believe what they're doing is good for the planet, and I applaud that. They're just deluded and wrong. And that's the reality. They haven't been educated.
Vote Joe.
seem to be
too busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, or you could be in government, run a business.
PM,
Yeah.
tomorrow. Well, it's not hard, is it?
No,
look at the competition. I mean,
so is that why you've? Because I mean, although there are some new cars here, they're not new.
We don't do electric. I can't.
You won't go down that road.
I can't support something that I don't believe in. You know, the cars that we sell.
Well, the customer can't have the colour they want, so what chance they got on an electric vehicle?
Yeah, but, you know, why would you? If you believe in something, it's really easy. Our job is easy because you want. If you'd have it for yourself, then you'd quite happily sell it. So you've got to believe in it. If you believe in something, then it's it. I mean. I was really privileged when Jaguar came to me and they said, would you sell the Carbon Zero E-Type? I said, what is that? He said, well, it's like the one that was used at the wedding. I said, absolutely not. He said, but your showroom, we love your showroom. We'd love to have it. I said, I'm sorry, I just can't get behind it. I think it's vile. And that was the end of the conversation. And I was very flattered that they came to me, but
I never thought I'd say what a man of principle you are.
No, it's just a horrible thing, and I couldn't believe in it. You know? So, no, it's just not for us.
As well as obviously all of this, you actually have your own collection. Why do you have the cars that you have? What is it that? Because they're a very eclectic mix of your cars.
I love cars. I mean, and the trouble is, if I was like polluted with money, I would be so bad. I'd have 500 cars or 1,000 cars. I'd have everything, because cars, every one of them has something that makes you smile.
Yeah.
And, you know, people say which is the best one, which is the most expensive. But the value is irrelevant.
Yeah.
Okay. You buy a car because it makes you smile. And if it makes you smile, then it's a good thing.
Which car makes you smile the most?
Oh God, look! I have a 60s Fiat 500 that I love, you know, and I get in it, and
everyone loves
happy.
Fiat 500.
I know, I've got one as well.
Everywhere we go,
I
people
saw
say the Fiat 500.
I want to know what it is he's done to that car because I'm
And mine's been boy raced up, yeah.
tempted. Mine hasn't.
Oh yeah, never mind.
We had a bit of this discussion anyway.
So, and then, you know, old Ferrari Daytona Spider, and then that was a dream car. So when I watched A Star Is Born as a little boy, you know, and I watched Chris Christopherson drive off in that with his 8-track in there, you know, the first thing I did is bought one with an 8-track, and I put it in because it was part of the dream.
Yeah.
And these are the things that, and every time I start that car up, I smile, you know, and I just think, oh yeah, life's all right. And I remember driving a Miura, oh my God, 10, 12 years ago, along the A3 one evening. I had the music on loud, I was smoking a big cigar, and the car was wandering around all 3 lanes of the motorway because the rear suspension was never very good on them before it was modified. And I was thinking, you know what, this isn't a bad time to go.
Yeah.
You know, I'm doing
Life's
some
pretty
proper
good.
speed here. I've got a Robusta on the go, and I've got Sinatra on loud. I mean, really, this is sort of okay. And so these are sort of moments in time.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Well, you've got a DeLorean down there, which looks very Back to the Future-ish with all the bits in. So if you could go back to the future, is there anything in this incredible journey of yours that you would change?
That's a good link.
It is, isn't it?
That was a really good link.
Thank you. I'm getting good at this.
Yeah.
What would I change?
You don't have to change it. I'm just asking if there is.
You know what? There's lots of things that I'd like to have done better.
Yeah.
And it's difficult because even when I look around restorations we've done, and the client may be thrilled, and I'm still thinking, I still would have rather done this. And it is a bit difficult because you always want to make yourself better. You always want to go forward. You always want to be, you just want to be better at the job. And the problem is, so if I went back, I'd want to do all of that, but so much better. And would that work? I don't know, because sometimes
that's what's been made you successful, because you're obsessed. You're obsessed with your business. You're obsessed with cars and the sector and everything about it. It's all encompassing in your life, really. And that is what I think is driving you to be incredibly successful.
It's difficult from the point of view that, you know, you want everything to be just so. And I'm not organised enough to be just so, sadly. And you know, as you can see,
Well, I wish-
my tailor despairs. You know.
Like, I wish I was that disorganised, to be honest. It seems to be working.
So what does the future hold? I mean, the immediate future, I know you're off to Goodwood.
Oh yeah, very exciting.
Was that you
Look
trying to
exciting.
link up to the DeLorean now as well? You're getting in on my
Yeah,
act,
no,
aren't
I'm
you?
just copying, yeah.
I
I'm
was there
learning
first with
from the
that one.
best.
What does the future hold?
And you're racing still, because you are still racing as
I
well.
stopped driving a long time ago, really, in 2007. And then I stopped growing up driving then. And then I did 2 or 3 events since then. I'm going to go and race, very fortunately, in Maserati Le Mans Classic
That'd be
next
nice.
weekend.
What?
MC12 GT1 car, so quite grown up
Yeah.
for me. So I'm most excited about
About
that. A little apprehensive because, you know, when I got in it to test it the other day, I thought I'd done really well, and then I looked at the lap times and I realised I could have timed myself with a calendar. I was so slow, but it felt fast, so that was the important thing. But again, the trouble is, I drove it 15 years ago, and I drove it quite well then, and now I sort of don't. And I've
But that's-
10 kilos and 15 years, everything goes
Do you
the wrong
feel
way.
that you've got to be in it you've got to win it, or do
Of
you
course you
feel
want-
that
you
it's
wanna be-
changed for you, that your participation is?
Oh no!
No,
You've
you've got to be
you've
want
got
to win.
You've got to be
You've got to be-
competitive.
you're right.
No, there's no point. There's no point just going along with the ride. No, absolutely not. No, God no. Oh no, I couldn't imagine
No.
that. Really? People do that? Is it a
Some
thing?
people do.
Some people
Some
do.
people do.
You know,
Oh, yeah,
they're
no.
not all as gifted as you.
Oh, no, I don't get that at all.
No.
So, no, you've got to go and do your best. And you know, sometimes you haven't got a car that can be at the pointy end, but if you've got a car that can be at the pointy end, you know,
You need to be
you
at-
want to try and do your best. And,
Yeah.
and then they'll be younger, thinner.
So you kind of
Talented
are
drivers
you an
and-
all or nothing kind of guy? So if you
Not all or
can't, if you don't
nothing.
think you can achieve the heights, would you quit?
I don't know. I'll let you know when that happens. So, not ready.
Well, on that note, Joe, it has been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. Thank you so much for giving us some of your time.
It was a pleasure. Nice
And,
to see
You
you.
should seriously consider a career in stand-up comedy on
Yeah.
the side as well, to be honest. So this has definitely been one of the funnest podcasts that we've done so far. No
Excellent.
disrespect to anyone else, by the way.
Well, anyway,
Yeah.
thank you very much, Joe. I
Thank
hope
you,
you've
Joe.
enjoyed it. You've learned all of Joe's pearls of wisdom, life lessons, etc. And join us next time. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.